Appliqué is a French word meaning applied, and that's what a quilt maker would do. She would take one fabric and apply it on top of another. So she would take the yardage from something such as this and cut it out around the motifs, throw away the rest of it, and compose it and apply it onto a background fabric and stitch around it. And this is not something you would do out of thrift and necessity. It took a lot of this expensive, beautiful fabric imported from England usually, and then it also took enormous amounts of leisure time to stitch around it. In many of these quilts, including this one, you have this broderie perce, which is this embroidered edging, so that instead of hemming it, you've got this functional and decorative silk stitching in a buttonhole stitch all the way around the motifs. And this took an enormous amount of time. In many of these Maryland and Virginia quilts, you combine an applique center with pieced border. So she's playing with both types of quilt making and patchwork in the same object. And you've got a play of shapes and a play of designs and a play of textures, as well as all the color and motif selections going on. The quilt makers represented in the applique section took some of the nicest fabrics available to them in their day and cut them up and pieced them together to create their own floral arrangements in very creative ways. This is a very typical applique design of the very early 19th century. It dates to the 1810s. And one particularly popular design was what's called the Tree of Life. And these were taken from the Indian printed and painted Palampore bedspreads that were imported in large quantities in the 17th and 18th centuries. And in quilts, they were made out of cut out and applique designs that could be composed in different ways. We have another applique quilt in the exhibit using these same birds and this same flowering tree print to create a more obviously tree-like design with the birds perched on it. In the exhibit, we have 9 applique quilts of enormous elegance from all parts of the region that we're looking at. And we have some beautiful imported printed fabrics being used in all kinds of imaginative ways that are all typical of this region in the early 19th century.